Well, it is recording according to my
Yeah,
notification.
I've got the backup here, so I'm taping the whole thing, and we'll back up just
Got it. Good enough.
I can
because we've
see all
lost a
my
few.
silver hair today and the bright sunshine in my house. I'm like, ah!
I don't think you have much room to talk
It'll
between
get
Grant's
there.
head and my
Yeah.
face. You don't have any room to talk.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, guys. So what do we
Okay.
want to talk about?
Well, you take the lead. You take the lead. Let's just get going. Bob and I sort of know what's going to happen here, so go ahead.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
Hello, world.
Welcome, Bob McGwier, and welcome, Grant Cameron.
Well, thanks for having us.
Package,
There
and
you
we're
go.
here to chat on some further issues. This is actually our part 2. When was our part 1? Was that 3 months ago now that we've
About
done
3,
that?
yeah.
All right.
Well, there's always rumors to catch up on. I mean, this is like a field of rumors, which is what we want to
Yes.
deal with, I guess.
So we're going to talk about all the rumors today. And actually, Bob, I'd like to talk a little bit about SkyHub too. So if you'd like to give us the latest on SkyHub, we can start with that and then dive into the juicy gossip.
Sure. So look, Steve and Corey continue to work on the distributed processing system that will go out everywhere, so people can hook all their toys up to that system, and the data will come back to the cloud. So scientists and others can look at the data and trust where it came from and know that it hasn't been manipulated. So Steve and Corey are doing all that work, and they're doing great. Me, I'm trying to push the envelope. So I got this in the shipping, and it's one of these, which is a 2 gigabyte Jetson Nano. And just let me tell you about that. So it's a graphics processing unit on it, and it's kind of a little supercomputer, and it costs $59. Okay, so with this $59, I'm going to be able to build Peter, what's his name's from New Forks, a passive radar system using a little box, and I'll be putting stuff up about it. So we're going to build this passive radar and other RF and electromagnetic reception and identification to try to find. You know, I keep going back to this 1969 monograph that Kehoe and Gordon Lohr put out in the 1960s that just everyone else that's ever done anything since then, and from Davenport to Valet to on and on and on, they're just copying and doing what Gordon Lohr said to do in the 1960s before Blue Book shut down. Okay, so anyway, we're just building these systems, and the thing that's happening is what used to cost $500,000 is now in the palm of my hand and costing $59. So that's what's going on, and we're able to pull all this stuff together with inexpensive computers, and the cost of cloud storage, which 10 years ago would have been $1 million a month, is now $100 a month. So it's just amazing. So we're going to get all this data together, put it up, and let everyone use it. We're affiliated with SCU, which is the Scientific Collaboration for the Study of UAPs, and Hoffman and others, and Chris, our science director, is the Mad Scientist. For those who follow his podcast, has worked out an arrangement with SCU and others. So all of that's going on, and SkyHub continues to advance, pushing toward a big release of all sorts of stuff. And just like everything else in the country and the world, it's all been slowed down by COVID. And nobody is happier about the release of both therapeutics and treatments and vaccines than I am. I haven't seen my mother in a year, and I've just been told that she has dementia and is not good. And I can't wait till I can see her while she still knows me. I mean, COVID's in the way of everything. So that's the basic update without a lot of technical details on SkyHub. I urge people, go to skyhub.org and chat.skyhub.org and get involved.
Yeah.
Question,
And
Bob. Have you got?
Go ahead, Grant.
Yeah, a question. Have you gotten any WOW material yet?
We have gotten UAPs over 3 of our deployments, which are people that are helping with the development, but they put up the deployments and they're unattended. And one of them is in downtown Houston and got a UAP, which came right overhead into the fisheye camera. And that thing did a right angle turn and instantaneous accelerations. And we are pretty certain that we caught it because that fisheye camera has IR sensitivity, infrared sensitivity, and you wouldn't have seen it with the naked eye. It was invisible except to that camera. And we definitely caught it. And if you go on the Sky Hub channel on YouTube, you can see some of these videos and more will be added.
Nice. How many units do you have out right now, Bob?
Ooh, I think there are tens of them, well, maybe 100 already that are being built, and they're in various stages of completion, and mine will never be finished. I'm going to be tinkering with it forever. So,
yeah. Well,
that's because
nice,
that's what I do. It's keep adding and breaking and disassembling and putting it back. However, big news. People may have seen the extremely fancy looking enclosure that Sky Hub can be put in, and we have a benefactor who has paid all of the costs of taking the 3D printing and paying for the tooling and dyeing and setting up. So people are going to be able to buy that really, really fancy box for $100 or so. And so it's really inexpensive for an enclosure. And Richard Hoff from Austria, but definitely Europe, is the person that did the 3D printing design and has given away the 3D printing instructions. And we have a benefactor which is covering the costs. Like I'm the benefactor covering the cost of the cloud storage, and somebody else is covering the cost of the 3D printing. So again, we're looking for benefactors and we're looking for users.
Great.
What's the ultimate aim of all this, Bob?
I'll get a ton of data together that no one can deny, and scientists will feel comfortable publishing papers on what they can find and see. And so right now, observational science. I mean, gather data objectively and store it, and let anyone who wants to have access to it, and let them do whatever science they want on it, trusting that it's not fake.
Last question for me. Do you think the government has solved this problem already, or are they totally out of the picture? Is this going to be a private enterprise?
I believe they've been capturing UAPs using infrared satellites and radar installations for decades.
Okay.
I guess maybe
and they're just not willing to release it.
So for me, in my non-scientific brain, the Nimitz videos that we know were captured from the F-18, their big camera system there, comparatively speaking, is that camera technology?
It's not really a big camera system. It's a fairly small kind of pod that looks like one of these disposable gas tanks on the bottom of the wing of the aircraft. So it's not really a huge camera, but it's a very capable camera.
So with this very high-tech camera, is that similar to what we're seeing in Sky Hub now? Like, is it similar technology, or would you say Sky Hub is better?
Okay, so the sensors that are coming online now that are available to us to use will be easier to use, cheaper to use, and very capable, but the actual specifications on the forward-looking IR, the cameras that are in those systems is classified. So we're not gonna, I don't even know, but we won't know what the actual specifications are, but almost all of the real expense in that system is all of the processing that goes on right behind the camera before it's put in the heads-up display of the pilot and whoever his second seater is.
Excellent. All right. Well, I kind of brought it up a little bit, but let's just dive right in. We've all been chattering for the last maybe week. We've been hearing rumors about another big drop of information, maybe coming from Tim McMillan or a few others. We're hearing whispers about maybe a triangle craft, but we're definitely hearing rumors about a USO to UFO scenario that has probably taken place within the last 12 months, is what I'm hearing. Are you hearing the same things, Bob?
I'm hearing the same things. So what my understanding is, without going into where I got it, is these are two separate incidents.
Okay.
The USO to UFO is a USO screamed through the water, scared the crap out of a submarine, and things were called in and alerts went up and some detection was there. And that was kind of one of the incidents that, as I call it, pissed the Navy off no end. Okay, so that's a little bit older. Then there's another incident where I'll just tell you, I have, without having any of the necessary metadata to tell where it came from, I have seen a picture. And it came through classified channels. And this picture is of a triangle. Now, so I don't get anybody in trouble or even myself in trouble, I'm hoping that's what's coming out. But I can tell you that it was seen from the air and it was a picture of a triangle. And I don't recall seeing lights in that picture, because I'm going to tell you, I saw it a little less than 12 months ago, but it was from an aircraft and the picture was taken from an aircraft and I saw a triangle, but that's all I can say because I don't know the total trail for how that picture came. So I'm just going to tell you that that picture got passed all over the intelligence community. And it's part of what stirred everything up.
Are we talking a big craft or a small craft?
This is not small. It's not like Phoenix Lights 2 miles across, but it's you know it's not small.
Okay.
Oh, it was way bigger than the airplane.
And was there
And
anything
they were
else?
high.
Was
They
there
were
anything
high.
else in the picture with this triangle craft? Was there one of our ships? Was there,
Nope.
you know?
No, I saw nothing else. I saw nothing else in the photograph but the triangle craft. And again, I don't personally know where the picture came from, other than I could tell the equipment that they were in that was taking the picture. So I just, it was a U.S. aircraft.
Excellent.
Let me ask a question in terms of this stuff dropping. So we have the Nimitz. Somebody handed over the videos in the parking lot, supposedly. Now we have another drop. Is there a group inside the U.S. government that is angry about this, that's leaking this stuff, or how does this stuff surface? Because
I think it's obvious. I think it's obvious that the Navy is truly upset. They are in charge of this UAPTF committee, and it's being run from the Office of Naval Investigations. And, Lieutenant Ryan Graves said that in the Teddy Roosevelt incident, he and his wing person had one of these things, these cubes inside of a sphere, pass between the two of them at incredibly high speeds, hypersonic, without leaving a wake, and passed within 50 feet of them. And so they were so upset. They talked their commanding officer into allowing them to file a report, and it's got elevated up the chain. So the things that are very hopeful to me, there seems to be bipartisan support on the Senate Select Committee for Intelligence for releasing or demanding that stuff be released. And the reason that is the language that was called the Rubio language, because he's the current chair of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, got included into the National Defense Authorization Act. So that's the bill that allows the Pentagon to spend money and authorizes them to do things. But in it, it demanded that work be done, reports be made, and details be given. And Rubio has re-upped that and just ordered ONI to start telling something. I'm just telling you, these commanders that are having these things come up around their air assets and their surface assets and their underwater assets and scaring the crap out of them, they are demanding answers. They've had it.
Wow. I've never been on a submarine, but I've seen the picture of you on one. Tell me what that would be like if you were on a submarine and one of these incidences happened. I mean, are we talking about, I don't know the terminology. Is it still all hands on deck? I mean, if you have something of this magnitude outside, what do you really do? Do you surface?
General quarters.
Yeah.
No. No. You run deep. You go away. If you don't know what it is, you go away. So general quarters will be sounded. All people will report to their action stations, and whoever the senior chief or master chief is in sonar runs out and tells the captain or whoever the current officer in control, if the captain happens to be asleep, would say, "Sir, we have a contact that's doing this, and I recommend." And then they will do whatever evasive maneuvers they think in order to protect the asset and themselves, and figure out, so they have time to figure out what the heck is going on. But of course, if you're seeing something move in water at ridiculous speeds, you're scared. And the reason you're alarmed. And the reason you're alarmed is water is incompressible. And when you run into it at high speed, it's like running into a brick. So anything that can move that fast through water is alarming as heck, because we can't do anything to outrun it, and no weapon we have will capture it. It's just stuff that has got to be studied to understand. Look, I haven't heard of, and I don't know of any hostile action any of these things have taken. I'm not saying there's not any. I'm just saying I don't know of any. But the only responsible action is to warn people and say, we don't know what this is, and we feel threatened, and we want action. And I think that's what's happening.
Excellent.
Is this just a Navy? You're mentioning the Navy, and of course, years ago we had the incident at Rendlesham Forest with the U.S. Air Force. Is this just a Navy thing that's going on, or are all the services encountering these objects?
Okay, so again, a lot of the responsibility for many of the areas that the Air Force used to have control of are now under the control of the Space Force that President Trump has stood up. So I don't actually know what are they demanding, what they're reporting, and what activities they have at the highest levels in the Pentagon with the UAPTF, which is being run out of the ONI. And it's clear they used money that they scraped together near the end of the fiscal year to stand it up and get it going, while they were waiting on the new budget. The new budget was supposed to be in effect on October 1st, but like every other year, we don't pass a budget on time, and there's a continuing resolution. But the National Defense Authorization Act, which has not been signed, the committees have reported out a bill, but neither the Senate or the House has done things together, and they haven't resolved any differences, and it hasn't gone to the president. So that has not gone forward and been signed yet. And we all hope it does, so that we get some kind of answers. And I think answers should be forthcoming. I know that Kamala Harris is on the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, and every classified briefing they saw on UAP/UFOs, she heard every word of it.
Well,
another question. Go ahead, Nicole.
Oh, I was gonna say, you mentioned Melinda, and that brought up our short little conversation we had a couple days ago in our discussion group. We were talking about, what was she talking about? Chris Krebs firing and MIT technology. Did you want to comment more or explain more of what you and Melinda were discussing in our chat? We're going to talk with her tomorrow about it too. She seems all over this, but
I think you should. I think you should talk to her about it. I knew what Chris Krebs' job was, and his
okay.
job in Department of Homeland Security was cybersecurity issues for the United States government. I got to tell you, that guy is a patriot and a hero. He blocked and tackled with most all the 50 states, secretaries of states, whoever run the elections in their states, and the Russians and the Chinese and the Iranians and the Israelis and whoever else would try to sneak in and go after our election infrastructure, failed. They failed miserably. Krebs is a national hero, and he's one of the best appointments Trump made in his entire presidency. And the guy deserves all of our thanks, because all of these contested stuff that's going on, he blocked and tackled every possible thing, because if there was a single incident of voter equipment being tampered with, or voting rolls being tampered with, or voter counting being tampered with by them gaining access to the equipment over the internet or whatever other infrastructure, you would have heard about it already. And so no cases are going forward because this guy blocked them all. Well, and he worked with NSA, FBI, and all 50 states to block and tackle people trying to attack our elections. He is a national hero.
Wonderful. And then I was going to throw one more name out at you that we might want to follow in the months to come. And that's Angus King, and the importance he might play in possibly Joe Biden's cabinet. Am I getting that correct?
Okay, so the rumor intelligence, rumit, is that King is going to be nominated to be Director of National Intelligence. So the Republican senator that was there, of course, was fired by President Trump. And then the superstar, former CIA officer who was the deputy director of national intelligence, Sue Gordon, who I know and have met, was due to be elevated. And it was clear that both the former director and she had lost the confidence of the president. So before he could tweet fire her, she resigned. And so then that left it wide open. And we got Richard Grenell, who is a political hack. He came in during the 2010 Tea Party rebellion. So he is quite unusual to be Director of National Intelligence. So we want a capable, level-headed person who is familiar with intelligence. And that would be Angus King, who is an independent from Maine. And he has been on the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence since the day he arrived in the Senate. Okay, so, and I don't know why he was on the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, but I suspect that if, we were to go in and look at all of his background, we would find out that he had experiences before he ran for the Senate that made him involved with the intelligence community, and they themselves supported his being a member of the intelligence committee. I just know that he is, and he has been there since the day he was elected. And he got to see all the UFO, UAP, USO briefings that everyone else did on that committee.
Beautiful. That's what I was aiming for right there, is the people that have been in these briefings from the Intelligence Committee. We know Kamala Harris has been, and now we know Mr. King is in on these. So I think the more the merrier. When these people are, put in their right positions, it could really set up our community to help get these issues out there. I think we're lining up the good guys is how I think I put it to Melinda the other night. But all right, Grant, I think you had a question.
Okay, what's the chances that, well, let me first ask you the question. Why did Trump not drop this thing when he got the briefing from the Navy? Why did he hesitate? You think that would have helped him in the final days of the campaign to drop this thing? Any
Okay,
ideas
so
why? Does he know?
okay, so I believe that I have an understanding, and this is me interpreting what I have seen for 4 years rather than personal knowledge of some people telling me. I do know the following as a fact. He didn't listen to his cabinet or anybody in the intelligence community. What he did was get on his phone at night and talk to his buddies all night. And so he would talk to people like Lou Dobbs and others on Fox News and Fox Business, and I can just hear them right now. Sir, if you put this stuff out and claim that UFOs are real, you're going to go down as a lunatic, and you don't need this crap. Let Biden do it. Okay, something like that happened. And let me hang this up. Sorry.
A UFO sighting.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. Sorry about the phone. So I just feel like he didn't want to be involved. And you can recall. So I have actual evidence for this. You can recall that after everybody and their brother got the story about the Navy, and he was interviewed by George Stephanopoulos on ABC News. He said, "Yeah, George, I've gotten those briefings, but I don't believe it." So I think he had been told from early on that stay away from this because it's nothing but a trap. And he probably, as paranoid as he is, thought somebody was playing him for a fool and ran.
Okay, my next question is, in terms of the government, if you recall back, the story was told by Danny Sheehan, whether it's true or not, was the idea that when Carter got the briefing, the president-elect briefing from George Bush, the then director of CIA, he said, curiosity on behalf of the president is not sufficient need to know. In the 1940s, they put out a map already, I think this is even before Blue Book started, where they showed the interactions of UFOs with Hanford, with all the military, Los Alamos, and all this sort of stuff. So they've known about this sort of, I almost look at like the UFOs is poking the bear. It's like, going into the military, showing off, challenging them, stuff like that. So is the even if the Navy moves it, do you think that the people that are in charge of the thing are going to allow this idea that we are under some sort of incursion and we can't do anything? Are they going to block this?
Okay, so you got to just think of all the places you named. Hanford, Oak Ridge, Los Alamos. What are all those places? They are national laboratories, and they are operated not by the Pentagon, not by the CIA, not by the DIA. They're operated by the Department of Energy, and they've been clever. They set up corporations to operate them on behalf of the United States government. So all of these incursions that happened over Sandia and Los Alamos, Oak Ridge, Hanford, and other nuclear weapons development labs come under the auspices of the corporation which manages them on behalf of the government. And in that case, it's Battelle. And where is Battelle? 40 miles from Wright-Patterson. So I have been of the suspicion long before I heard of the Pinnacle memo that that corporation is largely in control of or involved in studying the UFO problem on behalf of the government. And the Nuclear National Security Agency, NNSA, is dealing with the incursions over nuclear facilities. And so the Air Force will be involved in understanding the counterintelligence work that has to be done when these things step in and over the Minot and the Maelstrom and those Air Force bases where our nuclear missiles are stored. So, but the Nuclear National Security Agency and the DOE through the corporation that operates the national labs would be heavily involved in dealing with all those incursions that happened over our national labs. I think
Interesting.
Battelle's is heavily involved.
Interesting. I just don't quote me on this, but I'm going to be releasing, when I release the alien document book, the notes from John Alexander's group in the 1980s. And these are notes that came from Oak Shannon, who was part of the Wilson memo. And in that, one of the things I've never sort of released is that the cover page for it is the Department of Energy. And everybody always assumes it's the Pentagon, but I was kind of surprised to see it was actually Department of the Energy thing, which
I really believe that the core secrets are held inside the national lab structure in the corporation that manages them.
And the president,
all the rumors about the Collins elite is that they're in Battelle.
Okay. And the president, correct me if I'm wrong, the president really has control over all classified material except for atomic energy material. Is that separate from the president?
The president has some control over government-held classified information over DOE, DODs, etc., the U.S. intelligence community, of which DOE is a member. But that stuff that's held inside a corporation is not controlled by the president. The government agrees under cooperative research agreements that they will provide security over a structure that the corporations must follow if they want to interact with the government. But the president cannot order a corporation to give up its secrets.
So back to my question, is there going to be a battle between the people who control this and the people who, like the Navy people who are trying to force it out? Are they going to shut this thing down?
Okay, so my perception is that the people that really wanted to do all of that they're old, dead, or gone. And that what's happening is a bunch of new people are coming in and zero progress is being made. And we understand why zero progress is being made. Secrecy and confidentiality and classifications are a brick wall when it comes to doing scientific inquiry. It's just impossible because the way scientific inquiry is done all over the world is you have these peer groups and people have ideas and they put the ideas in a paper and the paper gets published and the peer groups shoot at it. So you get a peer group that shoots at it initially. If the peer group that shoots at it initially says, hey, we think that you might have something here, it goes into a journal publication and then the entire world shoots at it. So none of that can be done when only 20 people can see the secret. And you don't ever know if the piece that you need, the crucial piece you need for understanding is outside of that group. I'm just telling you, I don't think we're going to get anywhere while we keep all this stuff a secret. I think people like the Navy and others, they've had it. They want to know what's going on now because they feel threatened.
Absolutely. Whew. You know, Battelle, the first time I heard that was in James Fox's film, The Phenomenon. They shined a pretty good light on that for about 4 or 5 minutes in the film. And then it kind of was homework time for me. And I guess it makes me take pause because with all this disclosure talk, we inevitably talk about compartmentalization and if this information's ever going to get out. So when we talk, or we also talk about the lack of government oversight. And to me, this is that exact situation. Like you just said, we have the Department of Energy, you know, move it forward a little bit. It breaks down to Battelle. And if they're a corporation and they don't have to release all their information, and yet they're government protected, is this exactly the scenario that Rubio is trying to bust through? This is what we're trying to gain access to?
I really believe the scenario that Rubio is trying to bust through is how can we help our Navy guys who feel threatened? and they're tired of the secrecy, keeping all of that covered up. I just think they believe in order to make progress, some of the stuff needs to be made public. So all sorts of people can weigh in on what's being observed. And people keep saying, this is probably ours. This is probably ours. Go read Rubio's statements. The statements that he made around release of the language, which got included in the NDAA and the Senate NDAA bill, was they were not ours, or we wouldn't be bringing it up. That's inside of Rubio's statement, and he knows everything that the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence has been briefed. I do not believe that having that responsibility, he would come out and say, these things are not ours if they were. And I keep reminding people, Christopher Mellon ran SAPCO for the Department of Defense. He was on the SAP committee. He knew every SAP number, every SAP name, every SAP project that was known in the Pentagon, all of them. He was on the committee that ran it. And if there was one inside and run by the Pentagon, he would know it. And he claims there's none.
Wow. I guess I gotta sit on that for a second, but maybe on a little bit of a lighter note, I know you and I have both been following Dr. Greer over the weekend, and he was supposed to release or maybe talk about some information yesterday. Did you get a chance to follow that or watch it? Did he make any big?
So what I got trapped into watching, and it was actually interesting to tell you the truth, is he finally released the video of the premiere of Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, where he showed up in Phoenix and showed the thing. And in it was another one of his amazing claims. He claims that when the Phoenix lights happened, he was flying into Sky Harbor Airport in Phoenix and was begging them to show up. He went inside of a lab, and people ran in and says, they're here, they're here. And he ran outside and says, oh yeah, when I asked them to come, they showed up. He was claiming credit for instigating the Phoenix light at his premiere for Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. No, look, nobody's going to take away from what Greer's done for CE5, but he does himself no favors with these wild claims that he can't prove. It's just amazing. So that was what I saw, because that was the thing that was released when I was able to look. And since then, I've been busy doing all sorts of stuff. So I haven't looked at what he's released lately.
He sort of, from what I heard, and I didn't get to watch yesterday's at all. I did watch a little bit of Saturday, but he said he's been in touch with the incoming government. I think he was alluding to Biden, and that he was maybe going to drop some information of what could go down over the next few months, because he was in contact with both the outgoing and incoming government. So I just didn't know if there was a little sneaker in there that I missed, but I'll have to watch, and we'll give an update and chat on that in the group discussion.
Yeah, what I want to say is I have not seen anything come from Greer yet recently. Now that doesn't mean there isn't anything; it just means I haven't seen it, and I don't know who he would be in contact with inside the Trump administration. And since I retired on May 9th, I'm not on the inside of what's going on in the classified circles around Biden.
Time will tell.
Any idea
because I retired.
One of the people that Greer was dealing with was Podesta. Any word on Podesta being involved with the new administration and this issue?
No involvement that I'm aware of. Because he's told Ron Klain is the chief of staff, and he's picked his longtime staffer to be Secretary of State. And I just don't know any of their involvement with this issue or any involvement Podesta has. I do not believe Podesta is on the stand-up committees for picking his administration, but I don't know.
Okay. My last question is dealing with this whole leak thing. When the New York Times thing came out, you remember the whole story was leaking all over the place, and then New York Times people got all upset about people got to keep quiet, and it almost appears like they leaked the story. And again, now we know it's like supposedly Tim McMillan, December the 2nd, and it's like the whole story seems to be out before it actually comes out. So what's going on? Are there people leaking this, or why does this stuff always sort of leak out before the story actually is published?
Well, as soon as people that start advertising that they're about to publish a big leak, people start telling their friends of what's coming because they're asked, and the rumor gets passed around everywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna tell you, when you've been a professional doing this kind of stuff for 30 years, if what comes out is what I think is going to come out, I knew about it months ago, and today's the first time I'm commenting publicly. I mean, that's how secrets are kept. You keep your mouth shut.
Yeah. How big do you think the story is going to be? What kind of impact do you think this is going to have when it finally is made public? Is this a big story, big? Because you'll hear people saying this is the biggest bomb going to be dropped. Is it a real big story?
It depends on whether or not it's more than this photo. So I don't know the sum total of the details, but if it's just this photo without the people who took the photo coming out and saying, we took this photo, here's how we got it, here's the equipment we used, here's what we were doing. Without that, there's no provenance to the photo. It's just a photo that showed up someplace, and naturally there will be 10,000 debunkers saying it was done in Photoshop. So it depends on if there's more than that photo. And I don't know that there's more than that photo.
Is McMillan being sort of a guy like they want the story out, so they go to McMillan? Does that kind of stuff happen where people pick somebody? Because he seems to have come out of nowhere.
The government always has its favorite people to give stuff to, but I don't know the source of McMillan's story. And I've got to remind you, MJ Banias is a Canadian. There are not U.S. government people that are going to leak stuff to MJ Banias as a Canadian, because that would get them in real trouble.
Yeah. Super.
I know. I'm excited. You know, I always get excited when there's these whispers and gossip and rumor, just to see how it all shakes out, obviously. But I guess we could end it on a Bloodsoe note. Do you have anything to update us with your ongoing friendship with Mr. Bloodsoe? And are you able to give us any info?
So look, they're a bit hamstrung. Just let me say the hamstrung business is related to COVID, and I'm not going to give any of their personal details out. Let's just say you can guess from there, and I'm not going to give you details. But I hope for them and pray for them and all this other stuff, that all this COVID stuff is over. And I've talked to them and things seem to be going okay. That's number one. Number two, Joel Griffin, who was one of the founders of UAPTN with Steve and I, bought one of the Psionics low light level cameras and loaned it to Chris. And it has been amazing. Okay, so Chris shakes his hand a lot when he holds these cameras like they're smartphones. But this camera you hold like this, you hold up to your eye, and rather than try to keep the camera focus, you hold it up to your eye, and it's a low light level camera. And he is getting stuff every single day. He can go outside every day. I mean, literally every day. And the videos are much better quality than anything he ever got on his cell phone. And the reason is simple. When you see the Psionics low light level camera video, you see the complete context. It's not a bright light against a black sky. When he takes one of these Psionics videos, he sees the bright light, but he sees all the trees and all the lake and all the surroundings. You get a complete context from these low light level camera videos. And I just think it's a revolution. And the plan is for my wife and I to go over, hang out for around a month around Chris, as soon as the details can be worked out and everybody gets covered by for COVID, like probably after the vaccination comes, we will go over and spend a month. And the reason is, for a year, I've been sitting here impatiently waiting on the opportunity to go over and go through. And Grant knows, Chris has thousands of pieces of evidence that have never seen the light of day. Grant's seen it. I've seen it. I know some of the stuff. He brought in a professor from a local university that brought in a really fancy camera, and the video from that is just astounding. And it has never seen the light of day. Okay, so Chris had multiple regressions. I've heard the audio tapes. That stuff has never been heard by anybody but Chris playing it for somebody while he holds the playing device in his hand. And I want to get a transcript of that available, and with Chris's approval, and get that stuff out. So there's lots of stuff to do, but we got to get past this COVID stuff to go do it. Chris is in decent health. He built a house for his daughter, and his son Ryan is engaged to be married. So things are going well with him personally. But I'd like to do stuff on what he's seeing and get more details on his prophecies and interactions. But I want you to take his words and turn them into something written that other people can follow. So the goal is build a complete timeline from when Chris was young, had his near-death experiences, like when he was shot in the back with a shotgun, all the way forward, and just fill in the blanks of the entire timeline. Because Chris is a good storyteller, but he never tells things in order, and it needs to be organized. And that evidence needs to be annotated, put in a database, and commented on before he's no longer capable of doing that. And there we go. That's my goal, to try to be of service to Chris and the community.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Bob. Beautiful.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I've seen the stuff. I wrote up in Alien Bedtime Stories. I wrote up part of his stories. But I don't think people realize how involved he has been, how many things have happened. It's incredible. And you and I have both been around him, and stuff happens when you're with him, and that makes you a believer.
Yeah. And after, when I was with him, I saw stuff, and then I had a hitchhiker follow me home. There's just no way that what happened to me is normal. It's a paranormal action. And I'm telling you, as a scientist, it was life-changing.
Wow. Thanks for your work, Bob. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Bob. All right, guys. Is there anything else we want to gossip and chat about today?
We'll leave it for another show. You got the story. It's It'll be exciting when this all unravels.
Okay. And Bob, why don't you?
And I just want to know. I hope Lieutenant Tim Millen and Micah Hanks and MJ Banias drop a nuclear weapon.
I know.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
I keep it coming, guys. But thank you very much. I know.
All right. You guys have a great week. And Nicole, happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, hey. Yep. Turkey Days this week. So
there you go.
We're dining alone. We're all eating just in our own homes and like calling family members. So
beautiful.
Me and Will have a lot of turkey.
Give my little buddy a hug and tell him I'll put the B on the Thanksgiving table with us.
Oh, wow. He'll like that. And actually, yeah, William said he wants to sit down with both of you guys and go through his latest inventions. So
there you go.
I'll send you guys pictures, and maybe that could be our next chat. I'll get William in here next to me, and he can go through everything.
Beautiful.
I tell you,
what I hope is I get to shake his hand soon after this COVID crap.
Oh,
anyway, you guys take care.
Okay. Have a good day. Thanks.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye. Okay, that's it. Okay.
8:15 our time.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
Bye, Grant.
Talk to you then. Bye-bye.
Have a good day.
Yeah.